can fake confidence, you can fake knowledge, and you can fake experience. But the moment someone swings a sword at you, you get instantly exposed. So let's talk about something which is quite common today, which is the illusion of competence. In your modern life, yes, you can fake a lot of things, such as your working hours, you being productive, you being knowledgeable on something specific, right? Like, I don't know, being a historian or being some kind of philosopher, or being even a nerd at some specific video game. So you can look smart, you can look busy, you can look somewhat competent, right? And present yourself as someone who understands things, right? So the most simplest examples could be your corporate work, right? Because it's all about showing that you're doing something, that you're working there. It's not about you actually putting your focus for 8 hours straight, right? It's not about that. We both know it's not true. The next example that I could give you is online debates, which is the most brain-dead thing, at least for me. Because what's the fucking point of debating with low IQ people on the internet under some sort of post or content? Okay, you can be like somewhat an autistic dork who actually knows his stuff, right? But it's not about just you knowing stuff, at least in my honest opinion, right? The actual competence comes from knowing how to actually use this sort of stuff. So let's say you know all of the guards of longsword and you can name them, right? But that's not entirely the point of guards, to just knowing them or like even naming them. I'm not even the guy who knows all of the existing guards right there, but I understand them physically, if that makes sense. It's not about that you stick to them religiously because they look cool, right? All of them, right? So Zornhut, I don't know, like Bicornor, like this, right? Yeah, they look cool, but what's the actual logic behind them? It's not about just you knowing how to look cool with a sword. It's about you knowing how to use your sword to actually hit your opponent without getting hit back. So what I basically mean in this point is that today in our modern world, you can appear competent without actually being competent in the first place. So yeah, man, I have strong beliefs. So if you still don't know me yet, hi, I'm Michael Kozint and I'm creating this content because I want to just help beginners to start their own sword fighting journey without any bullshit. So actually taking action right away with simple gear and without extreme fitness in the first place. And if you're interested to go deeper into actually how to start do it from the very beginning, then join my free school community. The link's in the description or the first pinned comment. So moving on, my next point is that swordsmanship is pure reality. Because real swordsmanship removes that illusion. It's not about just you swinging a sword mindlessly or just even owning a fucking sword or a katana from some kind of anime. That's such a stupid idea, at least for me. I know, you may be liking all of this anime or all of these movies about swords. Don't get me wrong, I'm also like kind of a nerd. But at least I'm a nerd who actually puts it all into actual practice. Like, I don't get just stuck watching someone doing it, right? Or just fantasizing about it. No, I actually grab the longsword, actually feel that my wrist fucking hurts sometimes, even right now, my right wrist, because of twirling my sword and just actually using my hands to actually move the sword properly, right? So let's actually come back to the whole point, which is that in actual swordsmanship, you don't have time to think in a sword fight. You have only time to properly react or exploit your opponent's lack of reaction or his overreactiveness. There's also no hiding behind your words, because you have to actually put in the practice to know how to move. And also, if you have poor structure or you didn't learn it, at least yet, it will be seen. You will get exposed right away because your structure will just collapse if you do it wrong. A quite common beginner mistake in this instance would be training footwork first and then follow your camp with the swing. No, you have to swing first and then follow up with your footwork. That's the proper sequence. That's just a small tip that I can give you right now. To tie it back to the whole point, the sword doesn't care of what you think you know. My next point is that immediate feedback loop. Every of your mistake in a sword fight gets punished instantly. But also that means that every improvement that you do is visible, but not right away. Because if you're doing it by yourself, then it's completely normal for you to not see your progress actually doing well. Like it's kind of invisible straight graph, if you know what I mean. But it actually creeps up on you, because if that's the graph of you taking steps, like consistent steps to becoming a good swordsman, then you don't see this invisible line yet, but it still creeps up on you up to the critical point where it actually compounds so much that you can't ignore it. And that's the thing that actually separates most of guys, also including you, who start learning swordsmanship or any other physical skill, such as rock climbing even, or swimming. Let's also compare it to our modern world, where today, at least comparing to the video games, you get instant results, instant feedback, which actually don't mean anything, because you're a dopamine feed. You like the dopamine hit of you leveling up your swordsman character in some kind of video game or getting a new item, right? So it's very easy actually for you to see the progress, but it's actually empty because it's not you, right? We'll just have to be honest here. So don't get me wrong, it's a very interesting phenomenon that actually you get to see the result, right away, of you getting some kind of loot after a game, or getting a dopamine hit from watching some kind of cool anime fight, like sword fight. But actually it's nonsense. Like it's entirely empty because it doesn't change you whatsoever. It just makes you more of a dork that you already are. And don't get pissed off at me because I was at your place at least a few years ago, or like I'm still a dork right now somewhat, but at least I'm able to be honest with myself, right? When I'm doing something wrong, then yes, I fucked up, so I need to improve, right? And that's why I like sword fighting so much, and at least I think you are as well, right? Because it doesn't give you the dopamine hit right away. And also the thing that I like the most is that actually it separates all the real dorks from the people who actually want to learn some kind of physical skill. Because in modern world, it's not just about getting results, or let's just leave the video games world and dopamine, right? It's also about politics and perception. So your progress could be measured as somewhat subjective, right? Even at your work. But sword training gives you instant feedback, but also it doesn't. But it actually creeps up on you. But also it's actually brutally honest with you, right? It doesn't try to convince you that you're somewhat good by giving you some kind of loot or experience level. Because there's no other interpretation left than that the fact still is there that you suck. Right? I'm still sucking at sword fighting. Don't get me wrong. I still lose, but I don't really see it as a fail because I need to fail at it to become better. Do you see the logic? Because it's one of the few places in our modern world where reality actually gives you the answers instantly. So why swordsmanship actually feels so different today? The first thing is that your brain actually wakes up. You need to be fully present in a sword fight and actually forget all of the distractions, or at least push them to the side when you're actually fighting. Because at least for a moment, you're not managing your image anymore. You're just reacting, you're just learning, and you're actually adjusting to the fight. Because if you don't, you get hit, you get punished. My next point is the fear of being exposed. So why most people actually avoid things like this? Because they're afraid of looking bad. They're afraid of looking like they're LARPing this stuff. They don't want to fail publicly, which I completely understand because we as humans, we also status seeking, right? We don't want to expose our fails to the world. But the most important thing which holds them back is that this sort of people, they don't want the reality to correct them, because deep down these people actually know that they're a complete trash at sword fighting, which could be okay if they just get to acknowledge this, if they would be just honest with themselves, and from this point they could build their skill further. So yes, it's a lot easier to stay at the places where you can pretend to be good, but it takes real courage to actually step out of this comfort zone and start to do something real, or at least learn it, and also being honest with yourself that you're not good, right? But that's why you're actually learning. So what is the real value of this sort of skill? And this is exactly why it matters, because your real skill that you've built yourself, right? Not someone else, but you, it actually grounds you in reality. It gives you clarity to move forwards from taking action previously, and it gives you measurable results. Of course, not at the very beginning, because you may be a complete beginner and you don't really understand the progression of sword fighting, right? Which is completely normal. But you have to actually take action, like take the first few steps to then see the path to move forward. So you don't just feel like you're improving, like playing video games. You're actually improving. But you may ask me, wait, Michael, what is your personal connection? This is something that I started noticing when I began to train it myself. There is a few simple stories that I could tell you, but one of them is quite simple. I thought that I was knowing my shit, but then actually when I get to training, or even worse, to sparring, I got hit without me knowing why in the first place. I needed to lower my ego and be honest with myself that I'm lacking something and I don't know yet what it is. So I'm going to dedicate myself to learning why I'm failing and correcting that. Of course, I'll correct that eventually, not right away. Of course, not just overnight. It had to be consistent, basic progress or practice, so to make it more tangible, right? Of me actually understanding why I do it wrong and start to correct it. And the other example that I could give is that being hesitant in a sword fight got me hit so much times that I will not even tell you. What I needed to do actually in this instance to turn my brain off, right? Because sword fighting isn't about remembering each technique. It's about building the muscle, the proper muscle memory to actually react properly. Of course, at least in defense, right? But also growing some pair of balls to actually initiate some kind of strike myself. So to actually pressure my opponent back, even if I got punished for it, at least at the beginning, right? Because it's not just about being a defensive guy, sorry, to just parry riposte, because eventually you will get not even exposed, but you'll just get punished for just being the defensive guy. No, you have to adapt to actually win a sword fight. You can't just always see yourself as a defensive guy. You have to take the initiative yourself, like a metaphysical thing, right? And okay, if you see or you notice that you're always on the defensive side, then turn your brain off and actually start taking the initiative and trying to initiate some kind of strike yourself before your opponent does, and see how you can grow from it. So what is the bigger idea of this whole concept? Swordsmanship is just one example. This applies for any physical real skill. No, I don't mean pressing a few buttons on your console pad or your mouse and keyboard. It's not skill. Like, guys, stop, please. this one thing. Okay, I'm going into tangent, but it's actually important. It pisses me off that modern, my peers, modern guys my age, glorify a skill in some sort of video game. It's so cringe to me. Okay, you can be good at a video game and okay, cool. For the duration of the game, it may be fun for you, right? But a real skill that actually builds you up or builds your real character. It's just you sitting in front of the screen, tapping a console pad and trying to win a game, like a Spurk. I'm sorry, but that's just true. That's why the real skill is always better than just some kind of modern life bullshit, such as playing a video game. I know it's easy to just get yourself trapped in this dopamine loophole of playing video games. I know, I was there. And sometimes I still do somewhat slip on my way to actually training sword fighting, right? I'm still not perfect. I haven't said that I am perfect in the first place. But at least I'm being honest with myself that yes, I fucked up, so I need to refocus to my purpose of learning sword fighting and also teaching other guys as well to actually get better results. Because even protagonists in all of these movies and animes and, I don't know, cartoons, they're not perfect as well, right? That's why they're interesting. They are not Mary Sue's who know already how to swing a sword from the very beginning. At least some of them. But yeah, basically, the whole world doesn't care about your intentions, right? This is the brutal thing that you need to just learn. It doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about your results. And how do you get those results? By actually doing real stuff. If you just spend your precious time on grinding in some sort of video game by yourself, that's even worse than with someone else, like a bonding experience, right? Then I don't condemn this sort of behavior. But I actually condemn grinding on something real, which is a physical thing that actually builds you up. So your character and your strength, so your body. So you can fake a lot of things in your life, but you can fake good swordsmanship. And that's exactly why it's worth learning. Because in a world full of illusion, real skill stands out immediately. And if you made it this far and you want to go deeper with your sword fighting progress, then join my free school community. The link is in the description or the first pinned comment, called Start Sword Fighting, where I actually go through this stuff from the very beginning, actually showing you what you need to have, so the gear, and what drills you can do even today by yourself. I'm not even kidding. And also subscribe to this channel right now. Yes, scroll down and subscribe to the channel, because most of you guys actually don't subscribe to me ranting about different stuff, but also showing you different guides as well. And consider supporting me through my YouTube membership called The Vanguard. And here's the art made by my sister, which is very cool. So yeah, join that and let me know what you think about this in the comments. Yeah. And remember, always take the initiative.